The Elves are largely considered to be the epitome of grace among the humanoid races. Their wisdom, pride, and desire to experience whatever they can and quickly master it makes them both admired and respected. These gifts, in addition to their forms, are but reflections of their creator, Corellon Larethian. An artist, a warrior poet, a great mage and bard, Corellon embodies all that is elven. This is his story. According to elven legend, Corellon was a god that came from the realm of Isgard, with his sights set on carving out his own kingdom in the heavens. And so, with might and wit, Corellon marched on Arborea, slaying the great giants that lived there, and carving out a piece of the realm for himself. Thus, the elvish heaven of Arvandor came to be. In those days, Corellon was a good-natured but highly chaotic force, never staying in one place for long, constantly changing his shape to experience all the realms had to offer in as many ways as possible. He would have remained that way if it were not for a chance meeting with a beautiful and witty goddess. She called herself Araushnee. Corellon was so taken with her beauty and wit that he made Araushnee his bride, adopting the form of a male elf to solidify their marriage. This form stood 7 feet tall, with glowing eyes like sea foam, a lean but athletic form, and long, flowing hair of pure gold. Together they had 2 children, Baharin and Elistri, establishing a new pantheon, the Elvish pantheon, and called themselves the Seldarine. No one knows how many centuries passed until Corellon took notice of the mortal world. Toril drew their attention, and he wished to populate this realm with beings made in his image, creating the Elves. In those days, the Elves could do all their patron god could. They were bound to no single form, were witty and gifted with magic. Pleased with his creations, and wishing to see what the other gods could make, Corellon invited all deities to draw lots, deciding where their mortal children would live in this new world. The elf gods drew the lots for the forests, places that were beautiful, safe, and fruitful. The dwarf gods drew the lots for the mountains, hard and difficult, but full of riches. The gods of halflings and gnomes drew the lots for the rolling hills and valleys, quiet places, good for farming and tinkering. But there was one god who drew no lot, for there was no lot for him to draw. The massive, one-eyed god of orcs, Gruumsh. The beautiful and graceful Corellon found Gruumsh and his children, the orcs, to be brutish, hideous, and unworthy. He did not want them sharing space with his glorious elves. And so Corellon rigged the drawing of lots, claiming to Gruumsh that Toril had no more room. His children would have to find another world. But the orc god remained undeterred, and scattered his orcs across every surface of the Prime to spite Corellon. This sparked a terrible battle between the 2 greater deities. According to the Elves, the battle was won by Corellon, who struck out Gruumsh's left eye. The orc god bellowed and threatened, clutching his bleeding face, but Corellon refused to fight an unarmed opponent. Still, Gruumsh is formidable, and his threats not taken lightly, so Corellon retreated back to Arvandor, knowing that time and time again he would have to remind Gruumsh of who was the better of the 2. The god of the orcs was not the last of Corellon's enemies. Many lesser pantheons, such as those of the goblins and kobolds, made war with the Seldarine, but these were little more than distractions. As he fought, he was ambushed by a massive ogre god. The creature raised its mighty club, bringing it crashing down onto Corellon. The elf god went for his sword, but its scabbard would not release it. The blow crashed into Corellon's ribs like a comet. but the elf god was much more resilient than he seemed, and survived the blow. During his recovery, his wounds were treated by Araushnee, but the healing waters were struck out of her hands by the elf goddess of the hunt and the moon, Elestree. The daughter of both Corellon and Araushnee confessed to everything. The war was a setup. It was Araushnee, Corellon's own bride, that had orchestrated events in an attempt to assassinate him. She led the other pantheons to war with the Seldarine. She even poisoned Corellon's own healing waters. What's worse, she tricked Corellon's greatest creation, the Elves. She convinced the Elves to give up their ability to shapeshift, claiming that if they wished to be closer to their creator, they should remain in the form he chose for himself. The tall, graceful, and ageless form of the elf. But in doing so, removing themselves further from their creator. Enraged, Corellon banished Araushnee, claiming that no elf should give her praise, worship, or even speak her name. But some elves found this punishment to be harsh and unfair. They believed in Araushnee, and so they accepted banishment with her. This gave rise to a new goddess, Lolth, the Spider Queen, and her dark elves, her Drow. The creator of the Elvish race is the most powerful of all elven gods. They are a master swordsman, expertly wielding a long sword with a fighting style of such grace and speed, it is more akin to dancing than swordplay. He is also a powerful mage, able to cast high-level spells of every school of magic with ease, including the elusive and powerful Elvish High Magic, a form of archaic arcane art so grand that they can rewrite the foundations of the world. His thoughts cannot be clouded or controlled by enchantments, and his eyes can pierce through illusions. His most interesting ability is that no matter how terrible or difficult the terrain is around him, he can pass through it as if it were a flat, open field of flowers. In battle, Corellon is an honorable fighter. Though he could easily overwhelm opponents with all of his abilities, he chooses to meet sword with sword and spell with spell. Those who worship Corellon are embodied with his desire of experience. They have a grand wanderlust, and seek out as many new experiences as possible before the time of their death, so that when their souls return to their creator, they might share with him the experiences they had in life. There are few rituals associated with Corellon, but once every month, during the quarter moon, sacrifices of great beauty are made to the god of the elves. Whether it be a fine work of art, a lovely piece of jewelry, or a finely crafted blade, as long as it is in some way beautiful. The Fellowship of the Forgotten Flower is an order of elvish knights entirely dedicated to Corellon Larethian. They seek out any lost relics of the golden age of elves, seeking to return it to their rightful owners, in hopes to reclaim some of what was lost thanks to Araushnee's betrayal. A force of boundless, chaotic good, Corellon Larethian embodies all that the elves are, once were, and could be again. Ever-present reminder of the greatness of the elves. A bright light that shall never be tarnished by the machinations or creations of the goblins, orcs, dwarves, or men. There is a wealth of experience in this universe. Granted, most of it I already know, but to perceive it from the eyes of other beings is to experience it for the first time. My children may no longer have my blessings to change their form, but their minds shall be boundless. And when they die, they shall return to me to share what they have learned. Then I will send them back to do it again. I almost feel jealous. On this channel, I put together dramatic readings of Dungeons & Dragons lore, characters, quotes, and stories. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another one, leave a like so that YouTube knows I exist, and comment about why you love the Elves down below, because everybody loves the Elves. Check out the Discord to hang out with some more fantasy peeps, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.